Right, I'm gloving up to make my golden egg curry. It gets its goldenness from this turmeric. And although I want its beautiful hue in the food, I really could do without it staining everything in the kitchen, including me, forever. I use a teaspoon to peel it, like I do for ginger. It's the easiest way to go. It's very thin-skinned. Who isn't? Just comes off very easily. The cling film on the board is another one of my precautions. Seems a bit of a faff, I know, but it's so worth it, because fresh turmeric adds such depth. I mean, of course, you can use a teaspoon of ground turmeric, so don't worry. I'm going to just chop it roughly. And this is ingredient numero uno for the curry paste, which I'm going to make in here. And in it goes. And now I can deglove and get on with the rest of the paste. Fair amount of chopping has taken place. I've got some garlic and some regular green chilies. I've de-seeded them, and I've left these teeny little green finger chilies with the seeds in. They are very hot, but I'm trying to modulate the heat in this fashion. A lot of warmth, some ginger, and a lot of shallots. In everything goes. And now I'm going to blitz them to a paste. Oh, it's both fierce and fragrant. I've got a smooth paste now. All looks a bit day-glow green at this stage, but it won't once it's cooked. To do that, I'm going to heat some vegetable oil in this wok. And I'll get my spoon that I've already ruined with turmeric. And I have to say, ground turmeric does exactly the same. I'm just going to fry this until it softens. Think eggs poached in a rich, aromatic, tamarind-sharp, coconutty soup. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, nearly forgot my lemongrass. It's getting engulfed by the paste now. Looking rather Halloween, but it won't. But this now, as it's soft, it's slightly reduced. So in goes some coconut milk. And some tamarind, and the sharpness is so crucial here. Got a bit of salt, always important with eggs. Well, I think important with everything. Just a bit of water from this recently boiled kettle. And while that's coming to the boil, I am going to perform a small amount of surgery on these 3 finger chilies, because part of my heat modulation scheme means that if I pierce these slightly with the tip of a knife, a bit of the heat will seep out into the sauce. If you want it milder, don't pierce them. If you want it much milder, don't add them. And however hot you think you like your food, don't eat them. The currency of recipes is such a valuable one to me, and I was given this recipe by a Malaysian friend. I'm going to hope my Malaysian is okay here, because I think it's called masak lemak telur. Now, this is lusciously thick and still bubbling. So, in goes the egg. So you can hear the curry sauce is impatient for it. On goes the lid. I have to say, I often make a huge batch of this sauce in advance and freeze it or put it in the fridge in portions, so I can have a golden egg curry at a moment's notice. Yes, that is just how I like the egg. So the white's cooked, but the yolk looks like it's going to be fabulously runny. Tummy is rumbling. I might give it a little bit of chilli. Try not to bite on it. And I've got some flatbreads left over, just right for dippage as well. Right, I'm going in. Glorious. Hello, can I have the lamb ribs, please? Lamb ribs are cut from the breast, and I lived on breast of lamb when I was a student. I used to braise them in one piece all the time. Now I go for the ribs, which I roast with cumin seeds and nigella seeds, and I can tell you it's the way forward.
Thank you.
Because I want to keep the flavour of the lamb ribs to the fore, I'm not coating them in a sticky glaze, because this is really about the marriage between spice and meat. I start with nigella seeds. I mean, if you have a spice with the same name as you, it's a bit rude not to use it. Their slight lemon-scented pepperiness is boosted by the glorious pungency of cumin. Hard for me to have lamb without cumin. The fat on the ribs means I need only a little oil, just to help the spices stick to them. To highlight the sweetness of the meat, the saltiness of some soy sauce. All I need now is some garlic, quite a bit of garlic. Just mince them in. So all I do is schmooze the ribs in this scant mixture, just so they're glossed with conker shiny liquid and freckled with spices. Because they're a fatty cut, I roast them on a tin with a wire rack, so all the excess fat drips down, but still, it's that fat which gives them all the flavour and that lip-smacking stickiness. You certainly need a lot of napkins when you eat these. I was recently told that the literal translation of nigella seed in Arabic is seed of blessing, which seems entirely right for any sort of meal. I cook these in a low oven just till the meat is tender and the fat crisp. With these, I make my feta and avocado salad, and I drape both avocado and feta in red onions, which I am steeping in red wine vinegar. And what this does is take out the acrid burn of the onion. I can't eat raw onions any other way. And by the time I'm ready to make the salad, these strips will have turned a beautiful lambent puce. Inspiration for this salad comes from my sister Horatia, who often serves chunks of feta sprinkled with nigella seeds. Call it family solidarity. My version builds on this, adding avocado. The soft creaminess contrasts beautifully with the saltiness of the cheese. A scattering of pomegranate seeds provides fruity tang. And then those lucent strips of onion, all together so prettily pink and green. Finally, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. My salmon, watercress and avocado salad is a bit of a house special in Nigella Lawson. I make it so often I could probably make it in my sleep. And I like to use wild Alaskan sockeye salmon, which naturally has this vivid hue. And although it's in a frying pan, I poach it. I want some spring onion to bring a bit of flavour to the poaching liquid. And some black peppercorns. The reason I use a frying pan is that you don't need much liquid, which means it comes to a bubble faster and it cools faster, so the flesh stays tender and doesn't overcook. I want the sprightliness and brightness of some lime. And I think you need to be bold with the salt. I have devised the perfect poaching procedure for this. I let the pan come to a bubble, and once it does bubble, I turn off the heat, I turn the fish over, and I let them stand in the pan for 7 minutes. Works for me every time. So it's bubbling now. I do not want it to come to a rollicking boil. Turn off the heat and flip these over. They do look a bit raw on the top, but they will cook so gently as they stand in the water. The texture will be soft and luxurious. I like a bit of crunch in the salad, so I add pumpkin seeds. Now, I love pumpkin seeds anywhere and anyhow, but toasted, they really are wonderful. It enhances their flavour and it brings out their nuttiness and smokiness. And if I wait patiently, I'll start hearing them pop. Patiently being the key word. Oh, they're going. The noise reminds me of those little caps that my brother had when we were little, and you flicked them like that, picked at them, and they would pop like the pumpkin seeds. I don't want them scorched, obviously, but I do want them to brown a little, or rather, go bronze among the green. I'm gonna give myself the pleasure of a few more pops, and then I'm gonna shake them out into a pan to cool. Beautiful. The salmon's had its time. I'm going to peel away the skin, although I love skin if fish is fried or grilled, not when it's poached. Perfect. And they can sit on the plate to get cool. Will I get on with my salad? I want a tangle of watercress, bit of arranging, and a few drops of raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar. And I love the fierce pepperiness of watercress. It's the perfect foil to the smoothness of the avocado, and indeed the salmon. I prefer just to spoon out curls of avocado rather than have it sliced rigidly. Getting rather camouflaged in there. Now the salmon. See, this is how I like to eat salmon. Still a bit bright coral within. Silky, the texture. I always go for cold-pressed rapeseed oil here. Again, it's got a pepperiness like the watercress, although extra virgin olive oil would not be a bad choice. The crunch of pumpkin seeds. This is the work of mere moments. Such a relaxing way to cook fish. Getting excited now. Warm spiced cauliflower and chickpea salad is one of my favourite simple suppers. It relies on those two basic ingredients, but transforms them. I want the cauliflower in small florets, or as small as the constraints of my patients will allow. I can't take much credit for this transformation because it's all down to the warm spices and the heat of the oven. It's just a bit of regular olive oil, and now the spices. Just a little cinnamon to evoke the sweetness of a balmy night in Morocco. And I'm going to be a bit heavier-handed with the cumin, a spice that's irresistible to me. I want to disperse the spices in the oil to stop them clumping in the oven later. And now, in these go. The oil is just enough to help the spices stick to the cauliflower and to stop the cauliflower from drying out in the oven. Roast cauliflower is a glorious thing. It doesn't hurt either that there's very little washing up involved. Right, this goes into a hot oven, and I mean hot. I don't need to wash this up. I just add the cauliflower's partner in crime, some chickpeas. You can use canned chickpeas too, but the ones in a jar are really lush. And to these, I want the heat of harissa, Moroccan chili paste. I'm dolloping in quite a lot because both the cauliflower and chickpeas can withstand a bit of fierceness. I love the way the tomatoes almost ooze into a dressing in the heat of the oven. The cauliflower has already lost its Victorian pallor, and things are really going to brighten up for it now. Love having an implement in each hand. Makes me feel busy, but in an unchallenging way. And this goes back in just so the cauliflower cooks a little more. The chickpeas are already cooked. And the wonderful thing about the oven's heat is that the cauliflower will soften, but it doesn't get soggy. I'm grabbing a hefty amount of parsley because I don't want it as mere decoration, but as the salad leaf itself. I know there's quite a lot here, not that it stopped me before, but this is fantastic cold as well. Pack lunch tomorrow. Little salt. And some gorgeous ruby jewels of pomegranate. And a final flourish of parsley. I find this sort of cooking just the perfect way to decompress. And I am going to continue my relaxation program with this. So I start off with Thai red curry paste, and I like a certain amount of fierceness here. So let's plonk that in. And I wanted the delicate sweetness of coconut water rather than the rich creaminess of coconut milk. Before I put the heat on, I want to help the curry paste dissolve into the coconut water. Slightly foolhardy to be doing this with the white shirt, but too late now. And I want the brightness of some lime juice. Sharpen everything up. It's all so reassuringly simple. All I need now is to wait for it to come to a bubble. Right, bubbling. I've soaked the clams in cold water and discarded the ones that stayed open. And actually, the most important flavour in the broth is that umami sweetness that comes from the clam liquor. These take hardly any time to cook. I feel like I'm performing some sort of magic. But in a way, there is magic, but it comes from the clams, because as they cook, they open, and their liquor seeps into the broth. The minute I smell Thai basil, I'm back on a holiday. I just adore its aniseed muskiness. But it can be hard to get, and when I can't get Thai basil, I am so happy with fresh coriander in this. I don't need an implement to eat the clams, hands, mouth, but I might sip the broth serenely with this. That's what I wanted to see. Oh, I love the clatter of clams. Oh, just picking through because any that stay closed get discarded. That's a big heap of gorgeousness there. And after that noise, joyous though it was, the calmness of ladling out. I find unchallenging, repetitive activity like this just very calming. When I do get hold of Thai basil, I am profligate with it. That's how life should be lived, greedily and gratefully. Oh, I have to have a bit now. That's one bowl full of bliss I have here. You know, I really had thought I had exhausted the culinary possibilities of a packet of frozen peas, but a friend of mine recently showed me his method for using them still frozen as the first layer in a tray bake. Takes a leap of faith, but go with it. With the peas, I want the gentle allium savouriness of leeks. Sliced. This is so relaxing, easy to make, cosy to eat. You know, I am totally unembarrassed about using frozen peas whenever I can, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that Nigel Slater has crowned me the queen of the frozen pea. Come back. so the leeks can join the petit pois. And now 2 fat cloves of garlic. So everything goes straight into the pan. In any nub I can't mince, I can just drop in as it is. Let this little nub go in as well. Wonderful. A good scattering of sea salt flakes. And next, a little olive oil, just regular olive oil. And a splosh of dry white vermouth. A flourish of dill. I need some to scatter on later, but this can just be torn up over the peas. And help stop me getting frostbite as I mix everything together. Some gloves. And this being a chicken and pea tray bake, I need my chicken. Thighs for me. As the peas cook, they grow duller in colour, certainly, but so much more vibrant in flavour. And the steam they give off makes the chicken exceptionally tender and its skin crisp and crackly. For one more little touch, I need a little more oil just on the chicken skin. And ditto with the sea salt. Once they come out of the oven, I'm going to scatter them with the dill I've got left. Oh, and alongside, I've got these rather fabulous black-skinned, purple-flesh Vitelot potatoes. I'll steam these later, but for now, this needs to go in the oven. It'll be done in about an hour and a quarter, and while it cooks, I'll potter about and get the table ready for my sister and family. I do love a cluttered table. The more bits and pieces there are dotted about the place, the happier I am. And I know I haven't left a lot of room for the food, but that doesn't matter. I'll squeeze it in. And it doesn't matter either that we're all shoved up against one another, because really, the whole point of this is being together. Once my tray bake is hot out of the oven, I strew it abundantly with dill. My little chicks.
Oh, lovely.
I need some bits and pieces for my curry tonight, and this being a butternut and sweet potato curry, there are no prizes for guessing what I'm going to get. So let's slice butternut, sweet potato. I can get another one. Now, you can use ground turmeric in this curry, but what really makes the difference for me is using this fresh turmeric, these little rhizomes, and you can see they've got quite a tender, pinky oranginess that's peeking through the skin. Once you've peeled them, they are so intensely orange. They're very, very bright. I have to say that intense oranginess does get everywhere. So before I start, I peel the turmeric just using a teaspoon and then chop it up, and I leave it in a bowl ready for all the other paste ingredients. To the turmeric, I add roughly chopped red onion and chilies. Then I slice fresh ginger and pop that in too. Next, I chop some garlic and add that as well. And then on to the dried spices. First coriander and then a little cinnamon. Finally, I sprinkle in sea salt, and all that remains for me to do is blitz everything together. Glorious. And now I need this rambunctiously vibrant paste to make my rambunctiously vibrant curry. Now, whenever you cook with turmeric, you must never use a wooden spoon unless you don't mind it getting stained. And here's one I stained earlier. In fact, I've stained quite a few in my time. I just want to cook the paste just a teeny bit, let it soften. Well, no more than that. Now, good cans of coconut milk separate into a thick part on top and a watery part underneath. And it's the thick part I want in now. And the rich creaminess of the coconut milk is so wonderful against the fierceness of onion and chili, garlic and turmeric. Cooking, like the rest of life, is all about balance. On that note, I'm going to add the rest of the coconut milk. And you can see it is quite watery. And now some vegetable stock, and that's to say hot water and vegetable stock granules. Just to thin it a bit. The coconut milk, the butternut squash and the sweet potatoes are sweet. And I want to add a note of acidity with these canned tomatoes. All that remains to be done is for me to add the butternut squash and sweet potato. I'm going to drop them in very gently, otherwise I'll get splattered with orange. Might do anyway. And while caution was a wise plan, my impatience is getting the better of me, and I'm just going to add the rest now. And this now needs to come to the boil. Now, I'm serving rice with, let me show you. It's this black Venus rice from Italy, because I just adore the drama of the black rice against the orange curry. I mean, you can serve whatever rice you want. I'm going to leave this to cook at a simmer with a lid on. I'll get on with my green sauce and then just put it in a bowl to go out on the table, and people can just dollop spoonfuls on their bowls of curry as they eat. To make this coriander and jalapeno salsa, I tear up an entire bunch of coriander. I want the stalks as well. Then I add roughly chopped fresh green jalapeno peppers. Now some roughly chopped garlic and a good sprinkling of sea salt. I pour over vegetable oil, then finely grate a couple of limes. Then my old favourite Mexican elbow comes into play, and I squeeze the juice into the bowl. And now I simply blitz to mix. Hello. Right, I'm ready. I'll label.
Again, it looks good.
The school meals when I have a label.
Oh, no.
Oh, look at that. One spoonful or two spoonful of the sauce?
Do you next?
I think one, and people can add more as they need. Yes, you can splodge. You can
Oh,
splodge.
the splodge, yes. Yeah, good.
Please, sir, can I have some more? Okay, chin chin, amici.
Bon appetito.
Cheers.
Thank you. No, if you've been on
It can, no, it can be. It can
Very
be.
comforting. Yes.
But anything you can eat out of a bowl is comforting. This is the kind of cooking that really helps me unwind. A bit of contemplative chopping at the beginning, and then nothing more than a bit of stove-side stirring, plus the prospect of a fabulous dinner. It starts with a little olive oil, nothing fancy, not extra virgin olive oil. in go the onions. I'm going to try and cook them fairly low so they really become sweet and soft and sort of add body to the stew. I call this my fear-free fish stew because I do think that cooking fish can be frightening. You feel like you've got one point in the whole cooking process to get it right, and then if it's overcooked, it's such a waste. So I cook the sauce, and then I just have to drop the fish in at the last moment, and it cooks gently. It won't overcook, and it turns it from being stressful to being like the most relaxing thing I can think of cooking. Well, those cook gently. Aha, coriander. I'm using, first of all, the stems, because if the stems are tender, you can use them. You get another layer of flavour and you're not wasting them. And since I'm waiting for the onions, I'm going to get my spices together. So some ground cumin. And then going on to a bit of ground ginger. Warmth, a lot of warmth here. And then some turmeric, which apart from giving that gorgeous golden colour, also gives a slightly sharp edge. And, of course, heat, hot smoked paprika. And this may sound a bit odd, but just a bit of cinnamon. And some mace. God, I think mace is so underused. It comes from, what is it, like the overcoat on nutmeg. So it has some of that coziness of nutmeg, but it's much more lemony. Very beautiful colours. It's like an artist's palette, really. See, look, the onions have really softened, beginning to go pale gold and caramelly. First thing I need to add, some orange zest. Just seems to make everything sing. Now for my chopped coriander stalks, which hit the pan fragrantly. Then I grate in garlic. Followed by ginger, stirring everything together. I lost my aromatics. A beautiful bowl of spices. But I have, I know, cut the sweet potatoes a bit like dolly mixtures, but it's for a reason. I want the sweetness, but I also want them to add body and thicken the sauce. They also really temper the acidity of the tomatoes. And, you know, cooking life, everything, balance. I half-fill the empty tomato tins with cold water and swill them out into the pan. I don't want to waste even a bit of flavour. I add a little tomato puree for depth, followed by a glinting drizzle of honey. Then I squeeze in half my zested orange and sprinkle in salt. Generous with salt. The tomatoes really need it. Don't be timid. This is a fear-free fish stew. Be bold with your seasoning. Now that it's beginning to bubble, all I have to do is let it simmer covered gently until the flavours have really mellowed and the sweet potatoes are soft. You can use any firm white fish for this, and I've got here a beautiful piece of cod, which I cut into bite-sized pieces, then drop into the simmering sauce. The key to keeping the fish lusciously tender is to cook it gently with the lid on for 3 to 5 minutes
before leaving the pan to stand uncovered and off the heat for a couple more. I absolutely love the drama of Black Venus rice with this, and it's easy enough to cook in a saucepan. In fact, you can cook it like pasta. As you can see, I have gone the rice cooker route. Ready to go ladling. Perfect. The fish looks so tender. Just luscious. Okay, I'm being greedy. It's too much. Oh dear. I feel suffused with calm, and I haven't even started eating it yet. A splosh of olive oil.
Full of mellow fruitfulness, the oaky richness of Marsala, and the sweet-smelling woodsiness of thyme. My chicken with red grapes manages that rare and wonderful thing, which is to be elegant and cosy at the same time, which makes it just right when the nights are drawing in. The chicken I'm using are supremes, and a supreme is the skin on chicken breast with the peg bone still attached. And that bone makes the chicken so much juicier and gives a lot of flavour. I'm going to leave these here just for a short while to help the skin get a bit golden, and I'm going to get on with the sauce. It's not very labour-intensive. I've got some chicken stock there, and I'm adding some Marsala, gloriously amber-coloured. And it's got an almost caramelly smokiness. And into that, I want some wine-tangy Dijon mustard. I'll give it a little whisk here. And the chicken juices will add to this in the pan. And now, it's so unlike me to be putting grapes with chicken, but the thing to remember is, in fact, what these grapes give is a puncture of fruity sharpness. They're not terribly sweet, or not sweet at all. And along with the grapes, I'm going to give a fragrant scattering of thyme. So let's see how this is doing. Perfect. You see, they're starting to get gold. They'll bronze up more in the oven. And now, these golden juices. I'm going to wait till the liquid comes to a bit of a bubble. And once the grapes and thyme are in, this just needs to go into a hot oven for about 20 minutes. And the chicken will be juicy and cooked and the skin bronzed and crisp. And we're off. Hold some back to sprinkle on later, but such beautiful autumnal colours. Beautiful. Okay, mind your backs. Oh, okay, okay. Very good. Yes.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm going to dunk some bread in. I highly recommend it.
No, you know what? I'm going to do a bit of a dippage.
Oh, yeah. It's good. It's good.
It's really good.
A roast leg of lamb is such a luxury and a treat, it deserves to be celebrated. My way of doing that is by anointing the meat with a fresh green paste, the chief component of which is oregano. It's very hard to describe exactly what oregano tastes like. It's certainly got a bitterness, but also such sweet warmth. I want a whole bunch of oregano here, a small bunch, but a whole bunch. And now, a time-honoured partnership, lamb and rosemary. I need less of the rosemary because it is very pungent and resiny. And you could eat lamb without garlic, but it would seem to me to be an unnecessary deprivation. Got 4 fat cloves here. And meat without salt is an abomination not to be contemplated. Let's go for 2. I need oil, regular olive oil, to help turn this into a paste and moisturise the meat. And finally, from the Department of Zing and Uplift, an orange and a lemon. Zest of both. This is where most of the flavour lies. A lemon. And I want some juice, not too much, but about 2 tablespoonfuls of each. And I'm ready to blitz. And now for the lamb. There we are. Want to make a few incisions so that the paste infuses the meat. So this is my psycho moment. It's a very runny paste. So we're just going to spoon the green paste over the pink meat. Give it a little bit of a massage to help the paste go into the meat. When it roasts, the greenness recedes, and what starts off really as a marinade ends up as a fresh-tasting crust. It's a soft crust and browned in parts. But for now, I'm just going to leave the lamb here to steep a little before I put it in the oven. I pour some just boiled water into the tin to come about ½ centimetre up, which keeps the meat lusciously tender and gives me gravy later. This goes into an oven at 180 degrees for around 1 hour and 40 minutes. I chunk up a tray full of potatoes, I don't bother peeling them, and pour over a good few glugs of olive oil. Then in goes a heady amount of grated garlic and lots of dried oregano. Then I smoosh them about to mix. I love doing this by hand. I roast these in a 220-degree oven until they're crisp and golden. No deep frying involved, deep happiness achieved.
Once the lamb with its soft herb crust is out of the oven, I leave it loosely tendered with foil and let it rest for up to 30 minutes.
Everything else is ready. I'm just going to finish off my Greco-Australian potatoes. They're meltingly soft on the inside and crisp and golden on the outside now. Can never have too many potatoes. So just like the chips I had in Melbourne, these potatoes are going to be sprinkled with feta. There is just something about the cool, smooth saltiness of the feta against the hot crispness of the potatoes. Now I'm going to toss these because I want some of the bits of feta, the smaller bits particularly, to start melting slightly in the warmth. But I still want a sharp, cool crumble on top. And I know I've already got the dried oregano in these, but I cannot resist a final fragrant flourish of fresh oregano. And that's me done.
Right.
You want some ice with it? Some more?
Right, who can I
No?
help to this time? Oh, I'm very, very pleased to hear it.
Well, thank you for inviting us over.
Anytime.